Hello everybody. So I'm just going to do a kind of a quick review on the Shadespire models. Now I have the base start box that you get, which comes with what the hell are they called again? It comes with Chaos Guys, and the other people are called... Where are you? Liberator Fighters and Blood Reaver Fighters. I believe the Blood Reavers are the Chaos Guys, and the Liberators, I would believe, are the good humans, I guess. Maybe that's the way you should kind of put it. So I'm just going to kind of crack in here. I'm not going to really go through the box itself. Sorry, I'm still using my cell phone. I did get a new webcam. I got a Logitech 1080 Pro something or other. Yeah, 1080p Pro Stream webcam. I can get it to show me where it's pointing, but I have yet to figure out how to get it to actually record video at this point, so that's why I'm still using the cell phone. Once I figure out how to get it to do what I need, I will not be doing my videos this way anymore. So please bear with me while I try to figure that out. So I obviously got the beginner box, which is the core game. Comes with the two board maps that you need. Comes with the starter set models, cards, dice, and templates that you're going to need in order to play the game. It says it's ages 12 and up, 2 players, and it takes about 30 minutes or so to play the game. Now, I also picked up, sorry about my fingers, I also picked up the Spiteclaws, which is our Skaven. So that kind of gives you a quick look at what's on that. I also picked up the Spectral Guard, which are the skeletons. And last but not least, dwarves. Which in my opinion, I think them and the Skaven are the best two looking out of all the ones you can get. But I'm kind of partial to the dwarves and the Skaven. At 40k I would have gone with squats. Had I not known, not known that they were going to be discontinued, I would have ended up with the squats back in the day. So let's go ahead and take a look at the models. So here's the Skaven. Come on, there we go. So here's a Skaven model. This is the leader of the group. These models are just pushed together, so they come in little sprues. You cut them off the sprue, do a little cleanup, not much in mold lines, just clean up where the sprue is attached, and then you can push these together. Don't even need to glue them, but I used my handy dandy plastic weld and glued them together. Here's the starter box models. I haven't cleaned them yet to assemble them. It's in the works. Now I'm gonna go through the models real quick, just so you can see what they look like, and then I'm gonna kind of just go over my thoughts about the models themselves. Oh. Now, one thing I do like is you aren't going to have to do any base work. So, if you don't like doing bases, but you still want something that looks good. These are going to be great models for you, as the bases are already done. And they're not all the same static base either, which is nice. It's a nice variety. I'll pop these guys back in their little bin. Let's go ahead and move on to skeletons. One try to commit suicide. Alright, come on, focus. There we go. So here's skeletons. The skeletons, out of all of the models that I had the most amount of mold lines, and you can kind of see one right here in the middle of this shield that I try to remove as best I can. Some of it, as cleaning, I kind of purposely went deeply and made grooves and kind of niches and notches. Now this guy here, I decided that if I put him together, it would be kind of a pain in the ass to paint certain parts, so I did not glue him together. And I didn't feel like pushing them together, because I've seen some people that have already pushed them together and not glue them, and it seems like it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to get them off once they're kind of together. So decided let's not worry about that. I'll just put some poster putty in there between the two spots. When I zenithal prime it, it'll be in the right spot, but won't have to be pried apart, which will be good. This is another one. Has the same kind of thing. Do you feel like doing that? I think honestly the skeletons probably have the least interesting bases out of all of them. They do have some pretty cool parts, like, you know, the little gravestone here in the skeleton hand that he's kind of stepping out on. This is probably one of the cooler looking skeletons in my opinion. The big scythe. I don't think he's the leader, but I could be wrong. Come on, camera, focus. There we go. Of course, it also helps that I have him in the right spot for that. And here's the parts for the guys that need to also be put together. I think this is the part to the guy that's actually the leader, the one with the halberd and the shield. I think. Not 100%. Next up is the dwarves. So I like the look of the dwarves better. They have a little bit more going on their base than skeletons. I think they're pretty cool looking. The headgear, that's still pretty cool looking. I think it's a little bit over the top, but you know, whatever. I like this one here. He's got a skull that he's kind of sitting on top of. The stone skull. This one here did not get complete assemble. Felt like completing it would cause some painting issues once again. Basically, his weapon kind of goes across the body. Come on. And I didn't think that would be, excuse me, advantageous to painting said parts. Alright, so I got that out of the way. Now I kind of want to go over the models. Now the detail And I think these are probably the best bases here. I think the detail on these, for the plastic they are, is really good. Some really good fine detail on them. Pretty nice and crisp. Weren't too bad in mold lines, except for on the skeletons, but that wasn't too bad. It was mostly the shields, actually. Now, the one thing, I don't know if it's really a bad thing or not, is the plastic is very weak. It's very malleable. So it's very easy to push. Now, if you wanted to modify these things, it'd probably make it great. But they spring back into place pretty easily. Now, if you kept doing that, I'm sure eventually that would kind of wear on that tail. So even the thicker part of the cape, it's got a little bit of bend to it. That does too. But other than that, these are really solid. Now, obviously, I haven't primed them up and painted them, but I really don't see any reason why this would be a problem. I haven't heard anything bad about these models and painting them. Excuse them. And they even got detail on the bottoms of the feet. And a lot of times you'll see that that kind of a detail is missing on a model, even when the foot itself is going to be sculpted on there to be visible. Kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that in there, but that privateer press foot really could have been on the Totem Hunter. Really could have had some finer detail put in there, but it's just flat, not real much detail and on that spot. But I mean, nothing really, too major. But if you wanted to go to a really high level painting and you wanted to make a competition out of the piece, you definitely would have to kind of go in there, maybe shave some of the foot down and kind of sculpt in your own foot, or build on top of in a very thin green stuff or epoxy layer to really get that level of detail that you'd want if you so choose to go to that level. Now, each one of these boxes do come with cards that you can use to build your Shadespire decks. So the cards that you get are not the only ones you can use. So you can mix and match these cards. Now, some of them are only for the particular faction. So if you look here, it's got the little Skaven mark. Now, of course, this is for an actual model. That's not an actual strategy card or anything like that. Pop out the other side. Come on, come out. So, as you can see there, that's got the Skaven mark on it. And from what I understand, if it's got the actual mark of the faction, that means that particular card can only be used by that faction. Now, there are cards in here that, and in the starter box, that are non-faction specific, so that you can go, and if you get these other cards, you can buy those and then change up your deck, so you're not using the same static, this is what came with the modeled cards. So you can kind of tailor it just like Magic, so you'll be able to tailor it to the play style that you want, because you can only have one card of any particular type in your deck. So Aversion to Death, you can only have that card, only one of that card in your deck. So if it has something that you really want in your deck, well, then you're going to have to look to see, is there a universal card that you can pick up from somewhere else that has the same rules. Some of the cards will have the same rule, that it does the same thing as that card, but it has a different name. And because it has a different name, you can then use that card in order to add that to your deck, so you can have more than that one particular card to go with that particular play style. play style, not pay style, Martin. Like I said, these are kind of not assembled, so this way you can kind of see the little holes. This is real easy. So if you're new to miniature wargaming, or you're looking to get into miniature wargaming, and you don't want to have to go too crazy into it, or you got a friend, this is something you can recommend. This can get them started on the crack. All you really need is a pair of snips. You don't need any glue. You don't need files, really. You really don't need a knife. You can always pick that stuff up later and clean these up. But literally, come on. Literally, you put the head in because it's got that little part in the middle. That's the shaft of the neck, and that kind of has that flat circular part at the bottom, and that keeps the head in place. So I guess it doesn't run around too much. And the head obviously pops out the top where the collar is. And then you put the chest together. That is the most complicated part of putting the models together. Is every few models, I think only one, maybe two models out of all those models I have. Not count, maybe even counting this one. Actually, no, I know there's two in this set that you got to do it. So maybe 3 or 4. Out of all the stuff I have, you have to pay attention and notice that you have to put one piece in before you can put the other piece, because it kind of sandwiches it together and holds it together. But other than that, I mean, these are super easy, super quick to put together. I would say in 5 minutes, you could have all these pieces put together and be rocking out on the table playing. And you can get your friends started. I think if I heard correctly or read correctly, the Age of Sigmar Shadespire models might be able to start being used in the Age of Sigmar game itself. So the new version of Warhammer Fantasy, basically. So that's kind of cool too. So if you're kind of wanting to get your friends into the fantasy, this can be a great way to kind of get them a little bit of models, get them playing, kind of get them, connected to it, understanding what it is, and seeing if they really like it. It's not a huge investment in money, especially if you got the base set. Then all they have to do, if they like the look of the Skaven, is I think $30. Gives them the cards, gives them the models, boom, they're in, and that's just the retail price. So if you can get it cheaper than that, that's even less money they're going to have to spend. And then you can get the sleeve protectors for cheap, $1 or $2, I think, online or at your local game store. You don't need to really get anything too special, to be honest. So that's kind of my little quick and dirty review on these. I'm not sure when I'm going to paint these guys up. I'm still working on my Minoth. I'm kind of trying to clear out some room of all my pre-stocked models that need to be cleaned and painted. I'm working third shift right now, and so I got a lot of time. Now, I don't think they'd be cool with me painting at work, so I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to ask, because technically they don't want me doing anything but watching the TV and looking at the security cameras on my shift. But there's no way I can sit there for 7+ hours during the middle of the night with nothing going on, just staring at the TV or the cameras. So I can clean models, I can assemble them, and still do my job. So that's what I'm doing. So in order to make some room, because these take, especially these big guys here, they take up less room assembled than they do sitting in the big boxes that they came in. So I'm just kind of going through them as I go. But all right, I'm getting into here because I'm starting to ramble. Have a good one, everybody. Happy wargaming.